Our next session is about streaming, and this is the Deezer interview. Deezer, as many of you know, global platform launched here in Asia about 1 year ago. And Axel Doche, the CEO of Deezer, will be in conversation with Ned Sherman, CEO of Digital Media Wire, to talk a little bit about trends in streaming globally, what the competitive scene looks like, and a little bit about what's in store here in Asia. So if I could welcome out Alex and Ned.
Thank you. Hey, thank you. Are we on? All right.
Yes, it works.
So, Axel, it's great to be here with you here today. I want to start with just a little bit about you. You have this you're an incredibly dynamic person with a background in television, games, and marketing. And what brought you to the music industry?
I don't know if the music was brought to me or I was brought to the music industry, but definitely I had this experience about the convergence, and specifically through the TV business, how the traditional system totally crashed in terms of business model, and what could the digital world contribute to it. So that's what the main driver for me to join Deezer. The company was already 3 years old when I joined the company as a CEO. The success was already there in terms of usage, but all the business model was to be invented at this time.
And you've seen, since you joined, quite a meteoric rise in terms of the growth of the company. Talk a little bit about where you've come since you've joined the company and where you are now.
At this time, it was a French company, mainly free-based. And we had already a brand which was 5 times more awareness 5 times more than iTunes. So it's pretty big in terms of usage. However, we launched the paid services. We had a huge success in France. We became as big as the business of iTunes, for instance, in a few years. And since that, with telcos on one side and Facebook and the other social network on the other side, we are now in 182 countries.
182 countries.
So we really decided, and it was a heavy decision for us to be global everywhere. And based on this service, we succeed now reaching, and it's a news for today, but we are announcing today that we just passed the 4 million paid subscribers worldwide.
4 million paid subscribers, 182 countries
exactly.
As of today.
And more than that, I think it's even more important. We're now having 25 million tracks in the service.
Feel free to tweet that, everybody, to 25 million tracks. From the competitive analysis that I did looking at this, that would mean that you are far and away are in the most countries, plus have the most users of any of the services out here today. So congratulations. That's quite
Thank you. Thank you to my users.
So talk a little bit about your strategy. We were talking about this backstage, and I know there are 2 notable exceptions from of the 182 countries. You're not in the United States, nor are you in Japan.
Yeah.
What has been your strategy in terms of growing the company?
So in terms of the first, we built the company on the strategy based on 2 convictions. The first one was something to do with geography. The market of music has been over-focused in 6 countries for the past 100 years. And not only some new countries are getting into the market, like Brazil, that soon Indonesia, then Turkey, and so on. The real change today is the fact that the music consumption will be driven by the demand and not only by the structure of the distribution. In another world, when you look at the charts in the US, they are driven by the distribution structure within the US. I believe that in the future, African artists will become the most powerful artists worldwide because of the spread of the African population. I believe that even a tiny country will never be a market, but at least is a source of rights to be accessible worldwide. And when you believe in that, that's why you decide you need to embrace the full complexity of the world and to be global instead of just focusing in the major markets. If we had started by going into the US, we'll have become US-centric day one, and we better, first of all, succeeded in embracing this complexity before going into the US.
So when you approach a new market, and let's just take a country in Africa, for example, the Ivory Coast, you're securing those rights and distributing them globally, so those artists and those songs that you're getting the rights to are now available internationally for the most part?
Ivory Coast is a good example because we have a deal with an operator in Ivory Coast. So we have a few thousand of paid subscribers there, and we see the African creation going toward us. We see some producers signing the artists. They get into the system, they are accessible worldwide, and if we find a nice artist in Ivory Coast, we take him and we expand it into editorial recommendation worldwide. So we want to build this ability for an artist to build its success not only in his territory, but to build its geographical success worldwide.
Let's talk a little bit about the differentiators, because there's no surprise this is a pretty crowded space right now, with Spotify, RDO, Deezer, Google has just come into the market, and there are a number of others. From where I'm sitting, and a lot of people, we look at the services, and it's a little hard to distinguish between one. You look at price, more or less, the price offerings are the same. There's a lot of similarities in terms of the catalog, features. How do you differentiate Deezer from the competition?
First of all, the market is worldwide something like, will be soon $20 billion. So there is room for a lot of people on the market. Second of all, we invented 5% of what could be invented into music services. So the market driver in the coming 2 years at least will come from product innovation, will not from marketing tricks, will not come from commercial power, it will come from product innovation. And third of all, in that search for product innovation, we have one conviction which is the key of our differentiation. This conviction is the fact that with the digitalization of music, the people are hearing more music but listening to less music. There is a significant loss in terms of engagement with music. And we believe that our long-term business or differentiation with people like Google, having all the commercial power, will come to our ability to build engagement with music itself, not only with the product. So we are obsessed about active discovery, for instance. We have in Asia 10 curators in the different main Asian countries who are really every day searching and presenting some personal recommendation. And we believe this active recommendation, anti-algorithmic recommendation, is declustering your usage. And that's the first way to re-engage people with music, is to provide some disruption in the way you listen your music every day, because then you will grow, and if you grow, you will engage with music. Second axis to build engagement is to make tangible the link between the artist and the fan. We build a full program for artists where artists could really interact with fans and could upload at every moment any kind of exclusive bonus to specifically such or such fan. And this link is creating engagement again. Third axis is the live music. Live music is a climax of the engagement. We need to push the people to live music. We need to enhance the live music experience during the live music, but also afterwards. So on all those fields, this is where we put the efforts. And we used to say that we pretend, and at least we try, to be a real music services, and we believe we are not just a smart jukebox.
You think there's any room to differentiate on the business model? I was reading in TechCrunch yesterday about a company out of the UK called Bloom.fm. they have a rather unique offering, free streaming radio, something they call a borrow and return model, where for £1 you can have 20 downloads, and then a £10 all-you-can-eat streaming on demand. Now there's the small company still with a small subscriber base, but is there room to differentiate on the business model side of things?
I think there is room to differentiate on the acquisition system, or how to drive the initial experience with the full streaming system. But as I said, it's not right the moment to make the fight on the pricing and so on. It will come, but for the moment, it's still the time of the product innovation.
Okay. To talk a little bit about the deal you did with Orange and other telcos, because I know this has been a big success for you in terms of working with telcos and device manufacturers. First Orange, and then some of the other deals that you're doing in the space.
The question about how to break a market is critical. I think the streaming service are working with a model of a critical mass. Critical mass is a mass where in your 20 friends, 1 or 2 of them have a subscription to a streaming service. Because when you reach that level, then it's a bushfire. So the question is how you reach that level, and we try to balance the direct-to-consumer recruitment using Facebook, using Google, with all these social networks and some local marketing, and the indirect recruitment through telcos. And what we found with the telcos, and what makes really our proposition unique, is we are in a model of hard bundling where we are integrated into the tariff plan of the telco, and we are actively reducing the churn of the telco. Practically, we measure that we reduce by 2 the churn of a telco.
Reducing by 2?
Yeah.
The churn of the telcos.
Yeah, which is just because when you are subscribing to a telco, you are using Deezer between 40 and 60 hours per month. So if you want to unsubscribe to the telco, there is no question. You know that you will have to pay $10 to keep the service, to keep these 60 hours live. And because you know it, then it has a very strong anti-churn impact. So this model has been replicated now in 30 countries with Orange, Dutch Telecom, Telenor, Millicom, many telco groups. And it becomes a critical way to enter a market and to reach a critical size.
Yeah. Well, we're here in Singapore, so I do want to get to Asia specifically. When you look at the region as a whole, but maybe more importantly at specific territories within Asia, what unique opportunities and challenges do you see in Asia and in all the territories that make up Asia?
I won't quote the growth of Asia as being the key factors because everybody knows it. I prefer to insist in some few success factors, which for us are specific to Asia. First of all, Asia, the first success factor is B2B versus countries like Latin America, where really you can break the market just by the B2C. In Asia, I think because of privacy initially established, and also because it's a mobile market by definition almost, it's a B2B market. It doesn't mean it will be a B2B forever. It means that the right way to enter the market and to breach a certain level will be through B2B. In Thailand, we have a fantastic association with DTAC, and we never said it, but thanks to DTAC or self-recruitment, all the operation with that, in few months we reached 300,000 paid subscribers in Thailand. It's unimaginable. We just launched Malaysia with DJ, and it's very recent, so I don't have any big figures to give you right away, but we see the same trend. So definitely to drive experience, engagement, discovery of the music, you need to start with the B2B. That's a key differentiator. The second thing in Asia is, of course, mobility. And we developed features specifically almost for Asia. In now our iPhone application, and soon in the Android application, we developed the smart caching. Smart caching is, in addition to the offline mode where you can actually download the songs on your device to listen to it off connection, we implemented a smart caching which automatically cache into your device the last song the 100 last song you listen to. And so the benefit for the user is an incredible feeling of fluidity of the streams, because even if you have a very bad networks, finally you listen a lot the same songs, you feel it's really incredibly good. And second of all, it's reduced up to 70% the bandwidth you use with the telco. So that's perfectly adapted for the Asian market.
What do you think about these emerging platforms like WeChat, Line, Chat-on, messaging platforms, connected TVs? How important is that to your strategy, and can you integrate with them?
It's for when you convince somebody to pay on a monthly fee for a subscription service, you need to provide him the wider device coverage. We have today the widest device coverage of the market, including mobile, tablet, IP sound system, car, connected TV. But the interesting thing is, when you are everywhere, is which mission you assign to every device. And for instance, the mobile, everybody think about mobility. We believe there is something very specific to mobile, which is spare time. And finally, what's succeeding in mobile is everything where when you are waiting for something, you can enjoy music with that. So that's a mission assigned to the mobile. If I take the connected TV, which is an important device because in many homes, the connected TV is sometimes the best sound system of the home. The connected TV, for us, the mission is the social gaming, but the real social gaming. What's going on in your living room with your friends or with your family about music. And there is so many nights we all spend sharing music with friends. We need to enhance this incredible social experience.
We've heard a little bit in the States, some speculation that Spotify and RDO may be looking at adding video to their offerings. Is that something that you think about as well? And by video, I mean not music videos necessarily, but television content and being a streaming platform with more than just music to offer.
Yeah, music video, it's a non-brainer. It's just kind of the next step of the experience. About TV, movie, I come from this business. I think they are totally fake friends. I'm not sure it's the right word in English. It means that
they don't go together.
Yeah, they don't go together. It's just we had that in mind because we invented the word content. I hate that word. A few years ago, where we believed that finally a book, a movie, a music was a file, and because it's a file, that's the same thing. It is not. It's a different way of consuming it. And at least for us, we believe that we need to be the best music service. If we wanted to be at the same time a music service and a video service, we won't be anymore the best music service.
So we're getting down on time here, and I want to hear kind of what really excites you about the future going forward. I mean, you've had this incredible growth now in 182 countries. If we were sitting here today or a year from now, what do you think we'll be talking about, and what do you hope to accomplish between now and this next year, this time?
My dream? Yeah. I'm not sure we will be there, but my dream is not that next year we talk not about tech or distribution, but we talk how to make the artist to emerge, which we talk about music. I think that will show and prove the maturity of the market. The question in the future will become why such an artist coming from Colombia is succeeding here, how to expand it worldwide, what the best practice on this, how to the production of music itself will change due to the finally subscription service. All those topics will become more and more important, but so far we are still stuck into make it real. So my dream is to move toward talking about music.
And what are some of the concrete things that you're doing to move the needle in that regard?
So we have 60 curators on the ground who are listening 200 CDs per week to choose the best. We work with them and with the artist to identify how you can expand an artist, or you can identify a success in one country, and with some data mining, identify that this artist could have a success in another country. And if we like it, which is very important, if one human being say, wow, it's crazy good, how can we take it and really make the right proposition for the guy from the next countries? That's really what we try to do. We are proceeding some worldwide launch on some local artists every month, and we will do it more and more because that's where comes the value to more.
Listen, it's been a pleasure chatting with you, getting to know you backstage. Please come to the United States soon. I'd love to be able to subscribe to Deezer. So thanks and all the best.
Thank you very much.
Initiatives, yep.
Thank you.
Big round of applause, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you.